what we're going to go down through, we're going down through these questions, and people can simply select which of these applies to them for each of these items. So we're in 3 sections. It's communications, then web services, and then team and administration. In this, what I describe these as kind of external communications. So essentially you talk and the world listens. So considering your own community, you might just click the drop down and do you have a Twitter page is essentially the question. And yet you don't have one and it's not really so important, or you do have one or you don't have one and it's kind of important. 3, it's you don't have one, but you think it's a very important thing. Number 4 is you have one, but it's poorly managed. And 5, you have it and you're really happy with it. Then I've got a community Facebook page and Instagram. Just a little bit of advice on that. Managing the social media can be a lot of work. And I think that job needs to be split into sections. So there's one job of writing the content and posting it. There's actually a separate job of generating that content. So it's important to have a team of people who might be taking photographs or doing videos or collecting stories from the town. And they've that job, and someone else's job is to post it. And ideally, about 30% to 50% of the post could be scheduled a month in advance. So there's not that pressure every week to go, oh, I'm on holidays or I'm sick this week and I have to update it for the social media profiles. LinkedIn is not used very often, but in most communities we find it's very hard to bring the business, especially in rural areas, bring the business together to work as a group, and so many business owners are on LinkedIn. It can be a good idea to have a LinkedIn group just for the community and just share ideas to see will they kind of take ownership of them. Wikipedia is something that's overlooked by nearly every community we work with, and because it's free, they think, oh, it's just Wikipedia. But most towns, you search their name in Google, the first thing that comes up is the Wikipedia presence. And you can do really good, comprehensive, proper pictures and so forth. So if you have a team who can help write content, Wikipedia is very strong. Social media is, again, so dominant in the past 5 to 10 years, but email newsletter is still very important because you're not fighting with advertisers, you're not controlled by someone else, and these are the people who are interested in your community, and it's again cheaper, free services in that space. And some of you may have other tools. In the second group, it's more internal, so groups within the community, how they might want to share ideas and so forth. And there's reasons why these are not great either. WhatsApp, can be good as long as people know each other and so forth, and similar with Facebook groups, but they're just worth considering as part of the mix. There's also some towns which are kind of well organized, often use project management tools. So to log their tasks, see who would like to assign to tasks, or a stream like Slack. 17 or 18 are quite straightforward. Have you got a community website? Have you got a community app? And what we're looking at here is the types of services that your website or app could have. So is there a directory there of the local businesses? Is there a marketplace? So it could be selling farm or food items. This one is one I wanted to mention, which I haven't mentioned before, is the idea of grouped products. We're working with one town in this regard, whereby there's a number of tourism businesses. There's an accommodation. There's guys that sell. They walk people around the local nature and local forests and so forth. There's taxi services, and they all want to attract the tourists. But when each of them do it individually, it's very hard to sell. it's hard to sell I just have an accommodation and find that new tourist. So what they're doing is coming together and creating group products. So it'll be a taxi driver along with the restaurant, along with the accommodation, along with the tourist guide, who come together to create a package for €200 for a family of two. And it allows them then to actually start advertising to people, because it's very difficult to do it as a unit. So, but I've also seen groups of farmers come together. Some might sell meat, some might sell grains, some might sell fruit and veg, and again they come together to create a package which they deliver out to people in the area. So you're buying a selection of products. I've also seen something in the space of community energy. So a plumber, electrician, and an architect come together to provide an energy assessment of your home. There's lots of nice ways that businesses can benefit if they come together. This is obviously what was mentioned. The guys looking at the idea of sharing tools. So there's a lot in that sharing economy idea. So it could be garden tools, or it could be lots of other different types of tools. Is that something that the community is looking for? The sharing of talents, and I know this kind of call different things in different countries. Time banking is one that's referred to sometimes here, but there's a few in that regard. And there's also crowdfunding. So how do you would you like to see now? If something is low priority, it still might be something you want, but you just don't think it'll happen in the first phase. So it's always good, I think, to think about your plan as a phased project, that everything here might happen, but it could be year 2 or 3 until you get more things up and going before you go to so what you're looking for, what they call the low-hanging fruit. What's going to work easiest in your community? I think news, events, photo galleries, and so forth, that's self-explanatory, I hope. So this section here, and again, I had a lot of trouble because community websites means so many different things. I had a little pressure myself trying to categorize these into different groups, but I created a group then just for the summary text, the about text, the promotional stuff. So this is about the profiling your community. What I saw a lot of was profiling why your town is a great town to live in, so new people will come and live there, which is important. Profiling your heritage, trying to attract new businesses to locate in your village. And it's good to be very front and center and not just hope they arrive, but create a page which shows, yeah, this is good because we have a population and so forth. And also we find in lots of communities, lots of good groups doing fantastic projects, but only some people know about them. And the people that follow them know about them, but not everyone else. And everyone wants to know. So it's always a good idea just to have a space where I can just profile the good projects that take place. This is more looking at the team, and it's very hard to have all these teams together, but it's generally a good idea to have an administrative team. So they might help bring people together, talk about funding, apply for funding. The coordination, I probably should have made that clearer, but coordination team was more like the web coordination team, the people who will deal on the day-to-day basis with the developers and so forth. In most towns now, there's lots of people who are interested in photography, and if those group are together, they can be given a repertoire of, I don't know, 10 different ideas, and over the course of the year, they can just each month kind of work on some of these, put them in a shared folder, and then there's collateral then for other people to work with. In Cootehill, they didn't have enough photographs, so they were in a photo competition. And as of last night, 35 different people had submit photographs for the photo competition, which is a great way of getting that involvement into things. A video team in my hometown, Aberdeen, is a guy with drones, and he's more than happy to run out and do some drone footage. And this one is actually the one I think that's a lot of people struggle with. It's, oh, cool, yes, I'll write, someone can write text. That's the easy part. Writing text is actually generally a difficult thing to do. A little tip that I often give is people are not reading a lot of text online anymore. So when you have to profile a tourist attraction or profile something, I generally recommend an opening 1 or 2 sentences, then 3 to 5 bullet points and a closing sentence. And each bullet point had the first word in bold. It makes it very easy to, it's a structure, so it makes it very easy for people to write, but also it's very easy to scan. So if someone wants to look at this quickly, they can just go, okay, I get the message of what's happening in that. Again, when you go to ask someone to help you build your website, if you have this kind of form filled in, they will know where you're sitting and you're better able to get a better price on things. So do you have a community logo? Which is just a little icon in itself. The brand is a bit wider. It covers what colors you want to use, what fonts you want to use, and what motifs. So what motif are we going to use when we refer to business and so forth? It's generally a good idea to put a community tagline, so you can just often put that out to the community as a competition. The bank of photos, videos, which I mentioned, content regarding tourism, which I mentioned. Getting that database is a huge deal. And the last few pieces then, do you have a website address? Again, people have different ideas there, but I think it's best is your town name with your extension. So I generally, I don't agree with people. Some people have asked, should we do .com or .ie in Ireland? I would generally say .ie, just so they can be sure it's in their country and so forth. The funding part, I know it's only one question here and it's a big deal. But once a basic plan is together, and they can see that there's things to talk about, and then talk to everyone and see who might be interested in supporting it. And finally, is there a part on your website which you regularly get feedback from? So when people have ideas or people want to get involved, or there's an annual survey where we're asking these questions. Does your web tool have a system for that? Google Forms and SurveyMonkey can be useful for that.